Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go racing here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for both the Xfinity Series as well as the Cup Series. In the last episode we had some big news with Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton coming to NASCAR in the next season. I know that's not very realistic, but it's not intended to be realistic here in the Career Mode, and that's the whole purpose of modding. So very excited to make that happen in this next season. Now as we come through into this New Hampshire weekend, last time out Denny Hamlin was actually able to pick up the win at Kentucky Speedway in the Cup Series after Noah Gragson choked away a dominating performance and gave the win away to Denny Hamlin. But now we come through into the Overton's 200 in New Hampshire for the Xfinity Series with Paul Menard behind the wheel, starting just outside of the top 10. So a little bit of work to do here for Paul as he was up the inside of that 98 car driven by Haley Deegan, now also going up the inside of Jesse Little on the exit of turns 2, right behind that 07 car of Ray Black Jr. So Paul was immediately on that move on the inside lane. Every time we come to New Hampshire, we usually expect good performances in both Xfinity as well as the Cup Series side of things. So we've always kind of been in the mix to win this race season by season, so always expecting some good things here, and hopefully today we could maybe get win number 5 on the season, at least on the Cup Series side of things now, as Paul would actually move up a lane here a little bit later, as I don't really like to plant that car on the very bottom here in New Hampshire. It just feels really weird, the surface, it just kind of changes with the banking and it just doesn't feel right, so I always kind of stay away from that now as he was up the inside of that 07, actually using that exact lane that I don't like, but he would end up passing the 07 to come through a little bit later in this race, now up the inside of the 8 of Landon Castle as he came through turns 3 and out of turns 4, and he would continue on his way forwards as Ty Gibbs was leading the way. Ty Gibbs has had a lot of success in the Xfinity Series in real life as well as in the career mode, and we could definitely see him get a Cup Series promotion sometime soon here, I think within the next season or two in the career mode. But now on the final lap out of turns 4, wasn't the best race in the world for Paul Menard, but out of turns 4 down the front straightaway to cross the line there in the Overton's 200, he would cross the line in P8. So overall, a very strong effort as Quinn Half got P2 there. Ty Gibbs ended up getting P1. I do actually have to change Quinn Half's first name there. It only has one N, not 2 there, so I will have to correct that within the next episode. Hopefully there, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen to round out the field. We had CJ McLaughlin in the 93, so a rough effort for him. But overall, a great day for us here on the Xfinity side of things as we're going to get going now into the Cup Series side of things here at New Hampshire. And like I said, every time we come here, we expect a very strong run at this racetrack. And it, of course, starts off with a good qualifying effort now, as the goal was to hit a 29.738. Here, as you see the NZXT colors back on the car for this episode. Been a few moments since we've run this one as we go down into turns 1 and 2. I should also mention the paint scheme contest to be my primary razor car for next season ends within the next 2 days, so make sure to get a scheme into me on either Twitter or Discord. Now, as I actually come through out of turns 4, I end up knocking the right side of the car off there after hitting the wall, so we come through to cross the line with a 29.798 and end up P21 instead of likely towards the top 5 here in the Foxwoods Resort and Casino 301. So that was just all on me there, trying to get everything I could out of turns 4. I pushed way too hard, up in the wall we went, and now up on the front row it's going to be Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Harrison Burton, Alex Bowman round out your top 5. You got Eric Jones up there in the top 10 along with Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, and our rival of Joey Logano to round out the top 10. So a very just dumb mistake from myself right there. Now that sets us behind for the start of this race here in New Hampshire with John Hunter Nemechek as well as Joey Gase on the last row as we get ready to go green here in New Hampshire. Alright boys, we can rebound hopefully here. Sorry about qualifying. That was all on me, but I'll make it up to you guys. There you hear myself on the radio as we're getting ready to take the green flag for the Foxwoods Resort and Casino 301 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A lot of work to do now after getting that setback there from my qualifying error, as you see in the stories of the race. Ryan Preece starting actually towards the back of the field as Kyle Larson gave up his qualifying spot for a new fresh set of tires, and then there you have Kyle Busch in that pedigree paint scheme on pole alongside his teammate of Denny Hamlin, of course, our former team up there on the front row as we get ready to take the green flag here at New Hampshire, right behind the number 43 of Eric Almirola. Now as the green flag is out, and we are underway here in New Hampshire Motor Speedway, right behind that 43 and 7 of Zane Smith. Now, not a lot of time in stage 1 to really make up a lot of ground. Quite the short stage we have, and then stage 2 is actually quite a lengthy second stage here as we come through the center of 1 and 2, getting all the way down onto that apron there. Usually you're going to see me try to move up to that second groove right off the bat, because I mentioned earlier in the episode already how much I just dislike this very bottom groove here that I'm really forced to run at the beginning of this race here. Now, so you just cannot seem to get much grip on the exit of the corners, and I always push up, so I just really don't feel comfortable down there, and now we had that opportunity to move up to this second group. Only 16 laps to go already as Chase Briscoe actually sends it up my inside there, caught me off guard just a little bit through the center of 1 and 2 again now, as Matt DiBenedetto as well looks to my inside. A poor qualifying effort from him and his teammate of Chase Briscoe, as well as Kevin Harvick. I saw him down in like the 30s or something like that, so a bit of a rough qualifying effort for the SHR team. You see me getting aggressive now on lap 3. I decided to take a 3 wide here with Zane Smith through the center of the corner, as well as the 43 of Almirola on the bottom there as we make it work just barely. I almost clipped the outside wall as Bubba Wallace had now jumped down into P18 or so as he was battling with William Byron, our Alliance teammate, and I would actually get past that 88 car of William Byron as we went down into turns 1, and we were just starting to make this second groove work to our advantage very quickly here, as these were very easy passes to complete on these guys. Like Noah Gregson last episode should have picked up his first career win and been in the playoffs. Instead, he's now once again in a situation where he has to win to get in now as we would continue on our way, now getting to the Red Bull of Casey Kane, who's having a strong run. We've seen that team run a little bit better recently here in the career mode, so definitely have some high hopes for them here in the future. But now we had run down our rival of Joey Logano. Now is not wasting any time. I try to make a 3 wide to try and maybe get ahead of Joey there as I clip the outside wall, passing the 96 of Brandon Jones. Unfortunately, it didn't work, so I make a 3 wide again, trying to get away from Logano with our teammate of Alex Bowman in the middle there. It doesn't work again. Now Logano's right there, so I back out of the throttle to make sure he doesn't run into the side of me here now. So it was very tough once we had gotten to that back of the 22 of Logano, as it usually is now I'm 3 wide in the middle between Eric Jones and the McLaren as well as Ross Chastain, but we clear that 42 on the exit of the corner and get right to the back of the 17 of Chris Buescher now, as I'm going to look to his outside as we go down into turns 3. So we're now up inside the top 10. We've had a good recovery from that poor qualifying effort, but definitely a lot of work to do just to mainly get past this 22 of Logano there. So I was just trying to find the right line. Obviously, that inside line is very hard to make it work, especially on the rival. So I was just really trying to make this second lane work here now as we come through out of turns 4. Now as I actually make a bit of a mistake there, go a little bit wide and then allow that 0-2 McLaren of Eric Jones to get back past, but we would immediately fight back to his right hand side again within the next lap, and try to get back up into that 9th spot of Kyle Busch. He was actually now just driving away with the stage victory. Harrison Burton was up there in the mix, having a good run today as well. Again, he currently has 3 wins on the season, as I would, sure enough, get to that outside of Logano again, but then I make a big mistake there and clip the outside wall on the exit of turn 2, and then hand away 9th place again to Eric Jones. So a bunch of mistakes I'm making here in this first stage, trying to find a way past that 22 of Joey Logano. So very frustrating to say the least, and once again we fight back to the outside of the 0-2 McLaren and try to continue on our way, but we were already closing in on the final 3 laps of this first and opening stage as Kyle Busch was continuing to just cruise to a stage victory now as we once again clear that 0-2 McLaren as we dive down into turns 1. Denny Hamlin actually takes the lead away from Kyle Busch when we thought he was cruising away. No, Hamlin comes in to the mix and takes that lead away now as we are sure enough clear the McLaren. We come through the 2 laps ago, very close quarters racing with our rival of Joey Logano now as I try to use his teammate of Ryan Blaney to my advantage, make a 3 wide through turns 1 and 2, and these 3 wides just haven't been working now as Logano was able to get clear, and now we're side by side with his Penske teammate of Ryan Blaney, who is one of the final drivers right now in the playoffs, as Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, you can see on the track map, are scrapping it out for the stage victory as they came through to start the final lap of stage 1. We're to the outside of Logano, would just love to be able to get ahead of him by the start finish line of this final lap here in stage 1, so we're going to lunge up that right hand side into the corner. Christopher Bell having a solid run here so far in that 6th position. Cole Custer there in P5, Chase Elliott up in P4, but I get a poor exit there out of turn 2, clip that outside wall now as we come through down this back straightaway for the final time into turn 3. Ryan Blaney just a few car lengths behind, but Kyle Busch wins stage 1. We come through the center of 3 and 4, and we're not really going to have anything for Joey Logano, who ends up passing the 20 of Christopher Bell, but we come through anyways to cross the line here in the 8th spot to finish this first stage. We have a way better car than 8th, honestly, guys. I think we have a car that can compete for the win. It's just about getting around that 22. He's just always in the way. There you hear myself on the radio, so definitely going to take a lot of work here to potentially get past this 22 of Joey Logano and move in that right direction. So you see myself making some adjustments there with the wedge. The car just felt a little bit too free the longer the run got, and from past races here I have learned that we usually struggle on the long run compared to some of the fast drivers in the top 10. So it's going to be a challenge today as Logano loses one spot. So he's starting on our inside now, so that's going to be a bit of a problem here as we are going to get back underway for the start of stage 2, and of course we'll go through now into the AM segment. You see it all happening right there in amped. A bunch of contact with our rival of Joey Logano. There's for 3 wide through turns 1 and 2 with him, as well as Chris Buescher in that Roush Fenway Ford Mustang now. So definitely just resetting this rivalry once again as Logano nearly hooks us into the side of the 42 of Chastain. We go, and now we have damage on our back bumper as we go down into turn 3, and he's trying to run into us again. Now Logano's just going to move us completely out of the way here as we exit turn 4. So now we drop down to P12 after that chaos. Now, I mean, really, no one wrecked each other, so there wasn't any, I guess, probation-worthy or suspension-worthy tactics that happened right there, but we would now take it to the inside of Joey Logano. I'm doing everything I can to pass this guy because I know how fast of a car we have, and obviously knowing that the rivalry had quote-unquote reset with that bunch of contact, I decided, you know what, it's time to get physical and just try and move him if we need to. But I would start following him here to the outside of Ross Chastain. We now moved ourselves back up into P11, right to the back of the 22 into turns 1, give him a little bit of a bump there, as I actually about take it 3 wide here through turns 1 and 2. But I really just don't know what we're going to do about this rivalry with Joey Logano, as he's going to try and run us into the wall right here. I'm just holding the wheel all the way to the left about at this point, like 90 degrees to the left, to make sure he doesn't turn me into the wall there. So it's going to be so hard to get rid of Logano as a rival, and hopefully somehow we can pull it off by the playoffs, but very unlikely at this point. Is actually, I don't even know if there's going to be enough regular season races left. Even if we don't go anywhere near Logano, I think he will still be a rival by the time we get to the playoffs now. So as we came through though on lap 10, now 3 wide with the 17 and the 12 there, made a little bit of contact with Blaney. That kind of unsettled the car, so we dropped back down to P9 as the number 17 of Buescher moves on through. So we would fight back though to his outside as we go down into turns 3, trying to pull off a move to get up into P8 now. As you can see, still 15 coming to 14 laps to go in stage 2. Kyle Busch continuing to lead the way. He won stage 1 after a little bit of a scrap there with his teammate of Denny Hamlin. Now as we come through down into turns 1, we clear the 17 of Buescher, and we were moving on our way now as we gotten past that 22 of Logano, just showing that we have so much speed in this car when we don't have to deal with a roadblock in our way now as we get to the back of the 20 of Christopher Bell. But now Harrison Burton had actually gotten himself to the lead here over his teammate of Kyle Busch now, as all Joe Gibbs racing cars right now up inside the top 10, with Bell of course being the worst one as we're trying to pass him for that 7th position as we go side by side down into turn 3. Chase Elliott and Cole Custer just up there in front of us for that 5th and 6th position now as we exit turn 4, clearing that 20 car of Christopher Bell in that DeWalt Toyota Camry here. So 12 laps to go now in stage 2, running out of time quickly, but sure enough we would really just waste no time running down this 41 of Cole Custer. I knew we had a lot of speed in this car, and it was really showing because we were starting to already just close in that gap to that 41 as we came through to a few laps later now on lap 15 into turn 3. You can see how close we had gotten within a car length there by the time we got into the center of the corner. I drive it in a lot harder than these guys at this point in the run, and we're able to gain quite a bit of time, but we get a pretty even exit, but we still gain a lot of time on the entrance and the center. Now to the outside of the 41 a lap later on at lap 16 as we come through out of turns 4 side by side, but now the car was starting to free up here towards the end of the stage within the final 9 laps, so that was a bit of a concern here about how hard is it going to be to manage this thing to the end, but we do pass that 41 of Custer as we exit turn 2, but he fights back there to the inside for a brief moment, but we do stay clear, sure enough. So running P6 as Chase Elliott. We tried to run him down for P5, but once it came to 5 laps to go, the car was really falling off at this point, and now Custer behind myself was under attack from Joey Logano, and then I was like, oh god, we got a bit of a problem here, because I knew that 22 at this point, and the run was faster than Custer. He was faster than me, obviously, as he was running me down very quickly here with 4 laps to go, and by the time we came through down the back straightaway, sure enough, Logano to my back bumper. He's letting it be known that he wants to move me right here as we go down into turn 3, so I send it in really deep, trying to hold him off now as he tries to look to the inside, doesn't have enough, but down the front straightaway with 3 laps to go into turns 1. Now Logano to my bumper again. I decide to cover him off here on the bottom, and I make a big mistake there. I nearly spin myself out contact with the 22 of Joey Logano. He nails me in the door and really saves me from crashing now as we go down this back straightaway. So we lose 2 spots there, and then a 3rd spot to Todd Gilliland, who goes through on the inside. Gilliland having a great run here again in that 6 car, proving that honestly I think we could see him in the top ride potentially in the next season of the career mode. But, I mean, overall, a big mistake from myself as we came through to 2 laps to go in Stage 2, and I was just trying to be extremely defensive over the 22 of Logano, and I mentioned earlier about the grip levels on that very bottom line, and I paid the price for it. I put the throttle down too much, and around I went pretty much, so it was very unfortunate as we came through to start this final lap. We had also gotten passed by the 3 of Austin Dillon now as we come through out of turn 2, and then the caution actually comes out. Harrison Burton wins Stage 2, so another playoff point to him, and if he wins this race today, he will actually tie us now at 4 wins for the most on the season there. You see Burton, Hamlin, Kyle Busch, who top 3, so all Joe Gibbs cars. Christopher Bell ended up dropping out of the top 10 to P12. I make a bunch of adjustments on the car, lower the tire pressures, and hope that that's going to help us a little bit on the long run. I didn't want to go too far there with the adjustments on the car, but we did have to repair the car, but fortunately we lose no spots as Logano loses 8 spots on the pit lane, drops down to P14, which is just a blessing for us. But Harrison Burton, Denny Hamlin lead the way as we are back underway for the start of the 3rd and final stage here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So definitely a lot of work to do. Definitely hasn't been our kind of expected New Hampshire race. We usually come here expecting to run right at the front, go for a win, and it's been the opposite of that. We had a rough qualifying after hitting the wall, and then we've just been trying to rally our way forwards. We've had to deal with our rival of Joey Logano, who has not done us any favors by any means, and it's just been a frustrating race so far here now as we're still up in the top 10 at least. So there's one positive now as we come through out of turns 4 on that outside of the 6 of Todd Gilliland. Now, as I was thinking about if I do start a Cup Series team here next season in the career mode, Todd Gilliland was a guy I'm looking at potentially putting in the car. There's another couple names as well, but I think I've got a solid idea of actually who I'm going to put in the car if I do start a Cup team next season in this career mode. And I will also have a dirt team. I might drive in the dirt series, we'll see, but I'm not fully decided on that one yet now as we come through out of turns 4, running P9, sliding up the track. Definitely the car felt a little bit tighter, which was good because I felt like it was going to help us on that long run as Harrison Burton continues to lead the way, actually stretching out the gap by a couple car lengths there over 2nd place now of Chase Elliott, by the way, up there. Still winless this season, Chase Elliott is, which is very surprising. Last season he won, I think, 4 races, and I didn't mess with his driver rating whatsoever, so it's been really surprising to see that happen now as we look to the outside of Austin Dillon, now 3 wide with 23 laps to go with him, as well as Todd Gilliland as we dive down into turns 1. Now, as we try to clear them both, though, on the exit of turns 2, we at least clear the 3 of Austin, but now the 6 of Gilliland for the moment did remain up my inside, but ended up not being really able to fight there, so we would be able to stay clear of him now as we would just continue using this 2nd lane to my advantage, passing Tyler Reddick. These Richard Childress racing cars both having top 10 performances here today, so a great run for them, great showing now as we also look to the outside of the 41 of Custer, make a pass on him as well. This was probably the best we were all day long here. Now moving up into P6 within the final 20 laps of this race as we came through to 21 to go at least. Now Harrison Burton still leading over Kyle Busch. Matt DiBenedetto, who qualified worse than I did, up to 3rd place now as we look to the outside of Denny Hamlin. Chase Elliott just in front of Denny Hamlin here as we go down into turns 3. So we just continue to move our way forwards when it matters the most. And if it stays green to the end of this race, nobody does have to come into the pit lane. So we stay out to the end of this race race, basically. Now, if a caution comes out, the AI drivers actually might come in to take some tires. We'll have to wait and see. Now, as I know that, especially for me, the right rear tire was not looking very good at this point, but it still should make it to the end of this race, as now we also make a pass on our Hendrick Motorsports teammate of Chase Elliott. Move up inside the top 5 here into P4, as we would now set our sights on 3rd place of Matt DiBenedetto. So we come through to lap 58, opening up a gap between myself and 5th place on back of Elliott, Hamlin, drivers like Logano trying to work their way back through the field, Austin Dillon, even Tom Gilliland, but we come through now trying to get around that 10 of DiBenedetto and run down 1st and 2nd of Harrison Burton and Kyle Busch, but I kind of got stuck here around the 10 car, and I could tell we were kind of in that transitional period of the run where my car starts to get a little bit worse than these front runners, because usually I should just be able to fly around this 10 car of DiBenedetto, but I now got to the outside of him here with 14 laps to go and was trying my best to pull off this position, or this pass, to move into P3, but Kyle Busch had now taken over the lead back from his teammate of Harrison Burton. Now, as it looks like it's going to be down to those two to scrap it out for the victory as we continue side by side with DiBenedetto down this back straightaway into turn 3. I will have some new modded paint schemes very shortly, by the way, for Matt DiBenedetto, so I can't wait to show those ones off now. Vixen, a community member, sent me a few schemes for him to use now as we come through down this front stretch. We would continue side by side with DiBenedetto, but by the time we came to lap 65, still side by side, and I look in my review mirror and I see now Denny Hamlin starting to close the gap on us, so that was a bit of concern, but DiBenedetto ends up holding me off, and I felt like at this point in the race I didn't really have much left, but I'm able to get to his inside with 10 laps to go and just try my best to complete that pass on the 10 car. Sure enough, we clear the 10 of DiBenedetto now as we come through out of turns 2. So up to P3, I knew I had nothing for these guys up in front of us as Burton, Kyle Busch, they continued to scrap it out for this race victory. Hamlin would also pass Matt DiBenedetto, move up into P4 with 8 laps to go in this race. Burton back to the lead here in the final 7 laps as we came through to start lap 69. Nice, I feel like it's been ages since we've gotten to this lap. Now as Hamlin was closing the gap very quickly to myself here as we come through out of turns 2. So I was under attack all of a sudden from the FedEx driver there as we were now starting to deal with lap traffic at the very front of the pack within the final 5 laps of this race. So who gets through the traffic best between Burton and Kyle Busch is really what it's going to come down to at this point now, as Hamlin continues to just kind of chill, probably 3 to 4 car lengths behind here, but we come through now to 3 laps to go, approaching 2 laps to go, dealing with some lap traffic myself to the inside of the 51 of Joey Gay. Sideways there on that inside, we slide up, opening the door for Hamlin to go by on the inside. All of a sudden, with 2 laps to go, we drop down into that 4th position here as DiBenedetto is right behind myself. Burton has gotten through the lap traffic a lot better than Kyle Busch now. Surprisingly, it has stayed green this whole final stage, and it looks like if we can just get around this track one more time, it'll be a whole final stage that stayed green here now as we are to the back of the 78 of CJ McLaughlin, and Hamlin goes to the bottom. I try to follow through on the inside there, just hanging on at this point. I knew we had nothing now for that 11 or even the 10 of DiBenedetto as we exit turns 4, and the white flag is in the air for Harrison Burton. The tire light comes on to give us a warning that that right rear was down to 20%. I believe it was the right rear or the right front now as we come through to the back of the 38 of Nemechek there on the exit turns 2, kind of got held up behind him. Now DiBenedetto looks up our inside there, down this back straightaway for the final time. Harrison Burton leads the way through 3 and 4 as we're going to look to the outside of that 38, and he's going to hold up that 10 of DiBenedetto now as we come through now towards the exit of turns 4. Harrison Burton, for the 4th time this season, comes through to win in New Hampshire. We come through to cross the line to finish in the 4th position. So overall, a decent day, a decent comeback in recovery from that awful qualifying effort, and then dealing, of course, with our rival of Joey Logano, who ended up finishing there in the 8th position. Both Richard Childress drivers up in the top 10, Austin Dillon in 6th, Tyler Reddick in P10. So great effort from that team. Definitely some good showings from them. And then their affiliate driver or car or team with Trackhouse and Daniel Suarez definitely did not have quite the best race over there. But there you see actually Noah Gregson and William Byron outside of the top 30. So very rough days for them. But Burton now ties us at the top of the leaderboard for the most wins this season. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this ends here. There's only 2 races left in the regular season for the Truck Series, and then the Xfinity Series, we still got quite a bit, and then the Cup Series, of course, I think there's only 3 or 4 regular season races remaining, as you see the playoff grid there in Xfinity. And of course, Magnussen right now 2 points out of the playoffs here as we check out the Cup Series grid on your screen. Cindric 47 out. So I really look at it as the playoff grid is pretty much set unless we have a new winner in these final 4 regular season races, or if Brandon Jones gets himself back into the top 30 in points. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about right here. He is outside the top 30 there by just a little bit, not even 20 points below getting into the top 30. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can pull that off. Of course, before I end this episode, I'd just like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel: MJ, Aiden, Joseph 9001, RJ, Timothy, Bubba Jr., Illinois Diecast, Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasseur, as well as Movement. And as I always say, you guys help me out a lot, and I really do appreciate it. And I will see you guys, though, in the next one. Have a great day, everybody.